Bless Georgia, the land of poetry and wine, the abode of the muses. For centuries, poets have tried to describe its beauty, but no matter how talented they were, you must see it with your own eyes. Here, snow-peaked mountain tops sparkle in the sun, and rapid rivers meander in emerald valleys. Alpine meadows redolent with the scent of flowers and herbs intoxicate no less than the famous Georgian wine. Georgia is known for its cuisine and hospitality. I will bury grape seed into the warm soil. I will kiss the vine and pluck the ripe bunches. Will assemble my friends. Will attune my heart for love. Otherwise, why do I live on this eternal earth? The wise Georgians have long discovered the secret of a happy life. Perhaps that is why Georgia has inspired writers, artists, musicians for centuries. And tourists from around the world are attracted here due to the beauty of nature, sacred places, ancient monuments, delicious food, and people. Georgia wouldn't be so authentic without these cheerful, hot-tempered people, their heartfulness and famous hospitality. In this country, one falls in love at first sight with hunchback Tiflis, with steaming taverns, a little crazy and homely. Tiflis is the former name of Tbilisi, the Georgian capital. A famous poet called the city the Magic Land. The traditional architecture, combined with mountainous landscape, add to its irresistible charm. The city is set on both sides of the Kura River. In this area, modern architecture intertwines with historical buildings, giving a special flavor to the city. A little further, at the foot of the ancient fortress, lies the old town, a really fairy tale place. Charming narrow alleys, quaint carved balconies, old churches with tiled domes, traditional Georgian courtyards with clothes enshrined in the open air. The majestic Narikala fortress towers the old town. This beauty attracts thousands of tourists. Generally, the flow of tourists to Georgia and its capital has been continuously growing in the past few years. It's no wonder, as the scenery is truly irresistible. And not only for the scenery. The soaring aromas make you dizzy. Georgian cuisine is like poetry of fragrant herbs and spices, fresh meat and juicy vegetables. Let's start with the Mirutinsky Khachapuri. It is crispy thin bread filled with soft tender Sulguni cheese. Oh, this looks delicious. I want to taste it now. By the way, hot khachapuri are always served first, because they are cooked quicker than other dishes. Here it is, shashlik. I love it. By the way, I'm trying to find out the secret shashlik recipe from the Georgians. They only say that the meat must be fresh. They won't reveal the secret marinade recipe, but give the cue that pomegranate juice is added to it. I'm also treated to lobio, a bean stew, served with cornflakes. The abundance of meats on a Georgian table is always accompanied by considerable quantity of vegetables and greens, apparently for easier digestion. And here it is, the king of Georgian cuisine, hinkali. You should eat hinkali with your hands. Georgians will be very surprised to watch you eat them with a knife and a fork. First, you bite the thin but firm tail. It holds all the juice, which is released during the cooking process and from the juicy meat. Then you drink the juice and taste the delicate stuffing. That's how you should eat hinkali without adding any sauce. You can only add some black pepper. And of course, every Georgian meal is accompanied by wine. I'm drinking Kidzmarouli, and I love it. It's a symphony of the wine and juice. It's the sun in your glass. Georgians are not only very generous, but also a deeply religious nation. Be sure to visit the holy place for every Georgian, the country's ancient capital, Mouzenidis. It's located not far from Tbilisi and is also called the Second Jerusalem. In the center stands the iconic monument of Christian Georgia, Sveti Tskhoveli Cathedral. Pilgrims from all over the world come to this place to pray and ask for healing their diseases. Today, Mouzenidis is one of the most attractive places for tourists, with numerous shops selling local souvenirs and sweets, and excellent traditional restaurants offering great ambience and gorgeous aromas. A few years ago, we merged noise arm in arm like two sisters, Jets Aragvi and Kura. There was a monastery. Mouzenidis is located on a low river terrace at the confluence of the two mountain rivers, the Aragvi and the Kura. The ancient monastery Jvari as if hovers over the city. As ancient legend has it, it's in this place where Nina of Cappadocia, the enlightener of Georgia, put the Holy Cross and thus marked the adoption of Christianity by Georgia. Georgians say that it's impossible to describe the beauty of their country. It can only be sung. High above the family of pigs, Kazbek, your royal tent shines with eternal rays, and your monastery floats beyond the clouds, like a nag hovering in the sky, glimpsed above the crests. O distant, long-desired heaven, there, saying farewell to the gorge, I would raise myself to free heights. The destiny of poets is to look for ways to celestial palaces, while practical Georgians build their beautiful cities on earth in the meanwhile. One of them is Signahi. This town is considered young. It's under 300 years old. It's a very atmospheric town with narrow cobbled streets and charming neighborhoods built in the classical architectural style of southern Italy. In the center of the town is the wedding house, which is open round the clock, believe it or not, but you can get married here at any time of the day. To do it, Georgians don't need any documents, while foreigners need a permission from the consulate. By the way, Signahi is the only town in Georgia which has completely preserved its walls. The walls offer spectacular views of the Alazani Valley, and on a clear day, you can see the walls of the Bodbe monastery, which holds the relics of Saint Nina. In her declining years, Saint Nina retired to the place called Bodbe, where she continued to pray until her death. Here she was buried. Soon, a church in honor of Saint George, the heavenly patron of Georgia, was erected over her grave, and a monastery was built around it. Today, a new church dedicated to Saint Nina herself is being built in the monastery. When in Kakheti, be sure to learn about the history of the most famous Georgian family. First owner of the estate Alexander Chevchavadze was not only a brilliant military figure and talented landowner, but also an excellent poet. The poet's estate became the center of intellectual life of Georgia of the 19th century. The first piano in Georgia sounded in these walls. Great poets and artists came here to stay. In the maze nearby, famous people of the time swore eternal love to each other. Today, the estate has been restored and turned into a museum. Also, the Kakheti wine tasting takes place here. Oh, these famous Georgian wines, Kinzmarauli and Kvareli, Kakheti and Mukuzani, Ahasheni. Even their very names leave a pleasantly tart aftertaste. Drink Barjami in Barjami and Ahasheni in Ahasheni. In Georgia, these words wouldn't doubt anyone. So, after tasting the famous wine, we came here to taste something that is no less interesting. This incredibly popular mineral water is sold today in 30 countries. I'm talking about Barjami, of course. Here's the source, which is located in the town's central park. Everyone can fill a bottle here, drink it, and gain the health benefits of it. It's tasty, salty and warm. Barjami mineral water has long become a well-known brand and the hallmark of Georgia. It's proved that its useful and healing properties are beneficial to the digestive system, metabolism, immune system. Around the source was built a balneology resort with hotels, spas and well-developed tourist infrastructure. Barjami is located at an altitude of 800 meters above sea level in the Agura River Gorge in the southeast Georgia. Some 20 years ago, one couldn't look at the Georgian roads without tears, as the locals say. Now the situation has changed. The roads got repaired and you can travel very comfortably. For example, on one of the roads leading from Tbilisi to the Black Sea coast, there is a small beautiful town of Akhaltsikhe with a millennial-long history. It's located near the border with Turkey and has long had a strategic importance. Even the town's name reflects its military past. Akhaltsikhe in Georgian means new fortress. The recently restored fortress Rabat is a proof to it. It looks very impressive from the outside, and there is a lot to see inside. But this is only the beginning of our trip through the region of Samtskhe and Chavakheti. There is a lot of interesting and scenic spots around here. For example, only 60 kilometers away from Akhaltsikhe is the famous cave city. Historically, in Georgia, a country of high mountains and cliffs, appeared a special architectural style. Temples, forts, and even entire cities were carved into the rocks. One of such cities is the amazing ancient city of Vardzia. It's not obvious from the first sight, but it's an 8-story complex hewn deep into the rock for 50 meters. There are streets, tunnels, stairs, so a walk through it can take the whole day. In case of enemy attack, the city monastery became a refuge for civilians and could accommodate up to 20,000 people. At the end of the 13th century, an earthquake damaged the complex and its premises opened. Since then, Vardzia lost its defensive significance, but over time it has become one of the main attractions of Georgia. Keep in mind that corridors in Vardzia are very narrow and the stairs worn out and steep, so be sure to put on comfortable shoes and take a flashlight with you. However, not all caves in Georgia were created artificially. Prometheus Cave is one of the country's oldest natural caves, but as a tourist attraction, this place is still quite new. The cave tour features lighting effects, creating the atmosphere of a science fiction movie. It makes you feel like you're on another planet. Nevertheless, you understand that you're on Earth and that nature has been painstakingly creating this microcosm for millions of years, and today it takes your breath away. By the way, it's possible to get married in one grotto called the Hall of Love. I can imagine what fantastic pictures you can make. The temperature inside the cave is 14 degrees Celsius year-round, so be sure to put on some warm clothes. But in Sami Batumi, you don't have to worry about warm clothes. The resort is located on the Black Sea coast and features exotic subtropical flora. Batumi is conveniently set in a natural bay, and it's not only Georgia's most important seaport, but also the tourist capital of the country. In recent years, the city center has changed beyond recognition. Skyscrapers, towers, and hotels belonging to global networks were built and are being built in the city. But despite all this, Batumi keeps its Georgian flavor and offers delicious, varied, and abundant cuisine like everywhere else in the country. Batumi is not only the sea capital of Georgia, but also the center of the region of Ajara. What is the first thing that comes to your mind? Ajarian hachapuri, of course. I found the place where they cook the biggest hachapuri in the city. I need a fork only for mixing the filling. There are 2 types of cheese, 5 eggs, and a lot of butter to make it even tastier. Here you go. I break off the crispy crust. I can even hear it crunch. Dip it in the juicy filling and how delicious! Order some lemonade to wash it down. I chose Duchesse. Here it is, the taste of Georgia. Just like this country, sunny, lovely, and juicy. I can tell you endless stories about Georgia, but no matter how hard I try, it's impossible to convey in words all the depth, versatility, and charm of this country. You should see Georgia with your own eyes, experience it, and discover it for yourself. It will make your soul sing and your heart dance.